England's green fields have witnessed centuries of royal pageantry, but beneath the surface lies a history of blood and betrayal. In the 15th century, the crown was not a symbol of stability. It was a prize that tore the kingdom apart and set family against family. Most imagine the English monarchy as a chain of orderly succession, but the War of the Roses shattered that illusion. This was no simple family feud, but a brutal struggle where ambition, mistrust, and weak leadership plunged the nation into chaos. A crown split in two, banners of red and white, and shadowy figures in armor. These are the images of a conflict that would reshape England forever. The War of the Roses was a battle not just for power, but for the soul of a kingdom. To understand how England descended into civil war, we must first look to the Plantagenet dynasty, a royal house whose branches grew tangled with rivalry and resentment. The seeds of conflict were sown long before swords were drawn. This is the story of how the ambitions of kings and nobles, the failures of leadership, and the hunger for legitimacy set the stage for one of the most devastating wars in English history. The Plantagenet family ruled England for over 3 centuries, but beneath their apparent strength, cracks were forming. Rival branches, Lancaster and York, emerged, each laying claim to the throne through different lines of descent. The House of Lancaster, symbolized by the red rose, traced its claim through John of Gaunt, a son of Edward III. The House of York, bearing the white rose, descended from another of Edward's sons, Edmund of Langley. Both lines believed they had the stronger right to rule. As the 15th century dawned, England was weary from the 100 Years' War with France. Defeat abroad brought economic hardship at home. Discontent simmered among nobles and commoners alike as old grievances and new ambitions collided. At the center of this storm stood Henry VI, a king ill-suited to the burdens of rule. Crowned as a child, Henry's reign was marked by periods of mental illness, indecision, and manipulation by powerful courtiers, including his formidable queen, Margaret of Anjou. Henry's weakness created a vacuum at the heart of government. Factionalism flourished as nobles jockeyed for influence, and lawlessness spread across the countryside. The authority of the crown, once unchallenged, now seemed fragile and uncertain. The question of legitimacy became a weapon in the hands of rival claimants. The Lancastrians held the throne, but the Yorkists argued their lineage was purer, their claim more just. In a kingdom obsessed with bloodlines, the debate over who should rule became a matter of life and death. Inheritance laws and royal marriages only deepened the confusion. Both houses produced sons and heirs, and the lines of succession twisted into a knot of competing interests. With no clear answer, the stage was set for conflict. In 1455, the simmering tensions erupted into open warfare at the First Battle of St. Albans. What began as a contest for influence at court became a deadly struggle for the crown itself. Nobles were forced to choose sides, often turning against old friends and kin. The first clash was brief but bloody. The Yorkists struck quickly, capturing Henry VI and killing several leading Lancastrians. The balance of power shifted, but the war had only begun. Each victory bred new grievances and deeper divisions. Over the next 3 decades, England was consumed by a series of brutal battles. Towton, Wakefield, Barnet, Tewkesbury. Each encounter left the land soaked in blood and the nobility decimated as fortunes rose and fell with dizzying speed. At Towton in 1461, the largest and bloodiest battle of the war, thousands perished in a single day. The Yorkist Edward IV seized the throne, but his hold on power was never secure. Exile and return became the rhythm of royal life. Betrayal became commonplace. The Earl of Warwick, known as the Kingmaker, switched allegiances, toppling monarchs and elevating rivals. Loyalty was a dangerous luxury, and noble families were destroyed or elevated almost overnight. The violence was not confined to the battlefield. Across England, local feuds flared into private wars. Lawlessness reigned as royal authority collapsed, and ordinary people paid the price in ruined homes, lost livelihoods, and constant fear. Civil war brought devastation to towns and villages. Fields were trampled by armies, churches looted, and trade disrupted. The old order of chivalry gave way to brutal pragmatism, as survival became the primary concern for many. The breakdown of royal authority allowed ambitious men to raise private armies and settle old scores. The bonds of feudal loyalty frayed, replaced by shifting alliances and opportunistic violence. England became a land divided not just by banners, but by trust itself. Each side sought to control not only the crown, but the narrative of legitimacy. Propaganda, forged documents, and public ceremonies were used to convince subjects that their cause was righteous and their leader the true king. Henry VI's inability to rule decisively made the struggle even more bitter. His reign became a cautionary tale of what happens when the crown is weak and the ambitions of others go unchecked. The chaos of civil war was the price of royal failure. As the war dragged on, the cost mounted. Generations of noble families were wiped out, their lands confiscated or destroyed, the kingdom's finances were drained, and the very idea of monarchy was brought into question. The climax of the war came with a series of dramatic deaths. Henry VI, the gentle and tragic king, was murdered in the Tower. Edward IV died unexpectedly, leaving a young son as his heir and the stage set for further intrigue. In 1483, Edward IV's sons, known as the Princes in the Tower, vanished, presumed murdered. Their fate remains one of history's great mysteries, but their disappearance marked the extinction of the direct Plantagenet line and deepened the sense of tragedy. Into this void stepped Richard III, a figure both ambitious and controversial. His brief reign was marked by suspicion and unrest, as rumors swirled about his role in the prince's fate. The country was weary of bloodshed, but the struggle was not yet over. The final act unfolded at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. Henry Tudor, a distant Lancastrian claimant, marched against Richard III. In a clash that would decide the fate of the kingdom, Richard was killed and the Plantagenet dynasty brought to an end. Henry Tudor's victory was more than a personal triumph. By marrying Elizabeth of York, he symbolically united the Red Rose of Lancaster and the White Rose of York. The Tudor Rose became a new emblem of hope and unity for a battered nation. The end of the war brought dramatic changes to English society. The power of the old feudal lords was broken, and the monarchy emerged stronger, more centralized, and better able to enforce order across the realm. Private armies were banned, and the crown asserted new authority over the nobility. The chaos of civil war had made clear the dangers of divided loyalties and unchecked ambition. England would never again allow its great families to wage war at will. The Tudors established a new dynasty, one that promised stability after decades of crisis. Under Henry VII and his descendants, England began to heal, setting the stage for the Renaissance and the sweeping changes of the Reformation. The legacy of the War of the Roses extended far beyond the battlefield. The conflict reshaped the monarchy itself, forcing future kings and queens to balance power, legitimacy, and the need for unity above all else. Culturally, the war left an indelible mark. Tales of betrayal, lost heirs, and the battle for the crown echoed through English literature and folklore, from Shakespeare's histories to the enduring symbolism of the Tudor Rose. The war exposed the dangers of weak leadership and the destructive potential of personal ambition. It was a sobering lesson in how quickly order can unravel when those at the top fail to govern with wisdom and strength. Yet from the ashes of conflict, a new England emerged, more centralized, more resilient, and better prepared to face the challenges of a changing world. The scars of civil war would not be easily forgotten, but they helped forge a stronger nation. For ordinary people, the war was a time of fear, uncertainty, and loss. Villages were razed, families divided, and the rhythms of daily life disrupted by forces far beyond their control. The cost of dynastic rivalry was paid in blood and hardship. The memory of the War of the Roses served as a warning to future generations. The price of division and unchecked ambition was written in the ruined castles and silent graves that dotted the English countryside. The war also transformed the relationship between the monarchy and its subjects. Kings could no longer rule by birthright alone. They needed the support of their people and the legitimacy that came from wise, just governance. Central authority was strengthened as the monarchy learned to manage the ambitions of the nobility. The lessons of the war would echo in the reigns of Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, and the generations that followed. The end of the Plantagenets was not the end of dynastic intrigue, but it marked a turning point. The Tudors brought a new vision of kingship, one that valued stability, unity, and the long-term health of the kingdom. The War of the Roses stands as a testament to the dangers of a divided house. It was not simply a matter of rival families, but a national catastrophe that threatened the very fabric of English society. The story of this war challenges the notion that monarchy is inherently stable or orderly. In reality, the crown is only as secure as the character and competence of those who wear it. The simple explanation that the War of the Roses was just a feud between Lancaster and York misses the deeper truth. It was a crisis born of weak kingship, broken trust, and the failure to resolve long-standing grievances. By understanding the war's true causes and its devastating consequences, we see how fragile the bonds of society can be when leadership falters and ambition overrides the common good. The war's aftermath transformed the monarchy, paving the way for a more modern state. The lessons learned would shape English history for centuries, influencing everything from royal succession to the rights of Parliament. Civil wars leave scars that last for generations, but they also forced societies to confront their deepest problems. In the case of England, the War of the Roses forged a new path, one that balanced power, legitimacy, and unity. The ultimate legacy of the War of the Roses is not just a new dynasty, but a new understanding of what it means to rule. The Tudor rose, red and white united, became a symbol of hard-won peace and the price of division. The conflict that tore England apart was more than a struggle for a crown. It was a test of the nation's ability to endure, adapt, and ultimately heal. The lessons of that era remain relevant wherever power, ambition, and loyalty collide. The War of the Roses reminds us that history is shaped not just by great battles, but by the choices of leaders and the resilience of ordinary people. Its legacy endures in the institutions, culture, and cautionary tales of modern England. The war's true lesson is that stability is never guaranteed. It must be built and rebuilt generation after generation through wise leadership and a shared commitment to the common good. In the end, the War of the Roses was not simply a contest for power, but a crucible in which the modern English state was forged. Its story is a reminder of both the dangers of division and the enduring hope of reconciliation. The fall of the Plantagenets and the rise of the Tudors marked the end of an old world and the beginning of a new one. England emerged, changed, its monarchy transformed by the fires of civil war. The War of the Roses was not caused by a single moment of betrayal or a single battle lost. It was the result of deep fractures of ambition, weakness, and divided loyalties that had been growing for generations. From the chaos and destruction, England learned that unity and strong leadership are not luxuries, but necessities. The Tudor rose, born from decades of conflict, stands as a lasting symbol of that hard-earned wisdom.